I thought it'd be fun to do a first impression on this Disney Dreams collection by Thomas Kinkade Studio. So I bought this adult coloring book from Amazon Singapore not too long ago. Thomas Kinkade was a famous American oil paint artist. His painting style is often described as romantic realism or idealized realism. He emphasized a lot on a signature look includes radiant, magical lighting, glowing windows. For this Disney collection, it has a very high rating with 4.7 out of 5 with all those almost 5 stars kind of things. This coloring book is not something new and it was already published since 2017. I'm so looking forward to the moment when it's finally in my hands. By the way, this book was featured on my other channel, Ian's Book Hive. If you're interested in the full content of this book, just hop onto my channel and the link is in the description below. Thank you for your support. I've done a quick flip through inside this book and I must say that Thomas Kinkade was really amazing doing this recreation of Disney characters, keeping in mind of his own style. Remember, this was taken from the covering page of the Snow White. What I think was that Thomas Kinkade studio team produced this book by capturing some of the most essential from the large painting. And then they're using some special computer application like Photoshop to convert all these line works into black and white. This is just my assumption because 2017 at the time AI wasn't established yet, and I feel that the black lines are way too dense. After looking through all the paintings, I have some mixed feelings. Examples, I find this castle's painting is really awesome. It gives the kind of a majestic look and it's crisp and clear. Some pages like this, it gives me the kind of, it is not sharp. I'm not talking about the style of Thomas Kinkade because I know that he always have this kind of dreamy style, but it's more about the production of the colors. However, I also want to point out that how beautiful he captured all these lightings in this painting. And there's something that I noticed that, for example, this page, it has this kind of canvas texture captured inside this painting. And this gives it a very raw look. There is some questions in my mind. Can I conclude that the one who produced this book actually used a camera to capture this and then printed on the page? Maybe Thomas Kinkade studio team wanted to retain the original of his painting? Some scenery like this Little Mermaid, it seems like a photostep copy. It can be a challenging task to color on the right hand side because I think most of the colors are being flattened and that is why I cannot identify the original colors. So if one day I'm going to approach this coloring page, I will need to do it my own way. I must say the Jungle Book scene is the most unclear out of all the pages. What really shocked me next is this wrong interpretation of the line. Is this flower tree? I mean, computer is a machine. So if a machine cannot read out correctly of the lines, it will just create something that is a bit of rubbish. Some disclaimer, I'm not here to condemn Thomas Kinkade's amazing work, but rather I just want to share my views on the first impression. The production of the book can be much better if Thomas Kinkade studio team is able to vet through before the actual printing. In my heart, I really want to push this to a 5 stars book. However, I find that there is some inconsistent of the colors in some pages and the mistake. Most probably I'll give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Now it's time for some fun coloring. I chose this Beauty and the Beast to kickstart off this coloring process. This is a random choice. I think in the future I will do more of this. You may have noticed that Thomas Kinkade painting do not have any black and harsh lines. So it gives us a very soft and warm effect. For an adult coloring book like this one, sometimes too many bold and harsh lines can really get in the way. I would prefer to minimize some of the black lines on the characters. I have learned this from YouTube artists to lay a layer of gesso onto the black lines. And I can say that YouTube is a great place for me to learn techniques. And of course, I'm not going to cover everything with the gesso. I still wanted to retain the spirit and soul of the coloring book. and this is what it was made for. To complete this, I'll be using the Arrtx 72 colors. Let's begin.